The principle, we have talked about it several times, Sat, Chit, Ananda. That principle, sometimes we cannot understand it. We need a model, we need a form, so we make a personal God out of it. But today I will be referencing few couplets from the Hanuman Chalisa. This whole journey is going from instinctual to intentional. You have to understand what is the mind and the basic nature of the mind. In the Vedantic philosophy, there is only one instruction, and it says, come to me. All the power is inside. The God is sitting very close in your heart, but we look for it outside. That's why it says, come to me, come within. Don't look for it outside. I am sitting right here in your heart as the observer, as the witness. You think that a thought comes to your mind, but that thought is actually triggered by your memory. Why we think one is good and bad? Why we think one is right and wrong? Once we master these two, what is mastering? Just being aware. Detached observer, detached witness. By surrendering to this Lord, you will have no trouble. You can rest assured that all your problems will be solved. You may not get what you want, but you will get what you need. How do you come to that God? How do you connect with that God? So there are three ways. It says Ananya Chinta, Ananya Bhakti, and Ananya Yoga. Sometimes you first lose and it looks like that God did not listen to you, but if you have that Ananya Bhakti, you will know sooner or later that it was done for your best interest and you will get something in return. Gyarva Rudra Avatar is the sign of a mastered mind. He is an avatar of Rudra. We have mastered 11 things. What are those 11 things? I am the Shrishti Sthiti Pralaya. I am the creator, sustainer, and the one that dissolves. Understanding that there is always a choice and you have perfect or 100% control over your intention, but not over the result. So all you can focus on is your intention. Now we have the 7 modules talk extensively about Hanumanji. Now let's come down to the psychology and how to understand and apply that. So today's session, we will focus on the aspect or the quality or the trait of Hanumanji that is known as Ramaduta. So if you think about Hanumanji, the first thing that strikes you, or the most important thing, his most important identity is Ramaduta. That is surrendered to that higher principle that is the rishis have called Rama, which is inner bliss. Not external approval, but inner bliss. So in today's session, we will talk about how we can do everything that we are supposed to do, because living in this world, we are born not to run away, not to escape it, because if we do, we take several lifetimes to come back and finish what we wanted to do. So escape is not the way, as we learned in Bhaja Govindam. Neither can we indulge, nor can we suppress, nor can we distract, but to sublimate to a higher principle, the higher possibility of joy, rather than seeking joy from the sensory objects. So let's talk about action, because if you are born, you have to do action. If you choose not to do action, that is an action itself, sleeping, sitting, not doing anything. So why do we perform actions? Because we want happiness. Everything we do is geared, or the goal is happiness. We perform actions in order to fulfill our desires, and when desires are fulfilled, we are happy. But this is a flawed philosophy. What is the common understanding? That work hard, earn well, be happy. But our scriptures say that unintelligent action will lead to bondage. It's called karma bandhana. Karma is action, bondage born out of unintelligent karma, unintelligent action. So what is bondage? Bondage is a state of helplessness. You are a slave to your mind. I like this, I want more of this. I hate this, I want to avoid this. And we've been talking in several sessions that how to stay clear of cravings and aversions. I like it, I don't like it. Raga, dvesha. So whenever we are helplessly pulled, I don't want to do it, but I cannot stop myself. I want to do it, but I cannot make myself. That is called helplessness, and that is called bondage. It's very easy to see physical bondage, but we are not, if you don't make an effort, much more difficult to see psychological bondage. And in Vedic philosophy, what is life called? Bhava Sagara. Bhava is what? Feelings. The Sagara is an ocean of feelings. You have to navigate an ocean of feelings. And when you get caught up between like and don't like, you are caught. You cannot cross that ocean. So how to know that you are bound? to actions or this bhavasagara, because everything you do or don't do, it creates anger, frustration, fear, depression, resentment. These are not good feelings, good bhavas, good feelings. No matter what we have or don't have, we are besetted by these feelings, then we are in bondage. The whole idea of Hanumanji, he rises above these things. Now, let's try to understand a little better. How can actions bind us? What we call karma phala in Vedanta. Karma is action, phala is result. And that causes karma bandhana. Now, everything you do leads to a result. And that results when it gives us joy. We like something, we get more attached to it. And when we get more attached to it, what happens? The raga intensifies. The desire, the craving for that intensifies. And based on that raga, I do perform more and more actions. So what happens? The cycle is this way. First you do karma, which is action, which leads to karma phala, which is result. These results give you joy, which is sukha. And then there is raga for this sukha, meaning attachment to these little acts of happiness or little results of happiness, for which we do more karma. So you're caught in this cycle. Karma, action, karma phala, results, sukha, happiness, raga, attachment to this happiness, craving for more happiness. One ice cream is not enough, one jewelry is not enough, one house is not enough, want more and more and more, and perpetuate that. This cycle does what? Last session we discussed, every session we'll discuss this, intensifies raga, attachment, moha, disillusionment that these objects or these things have the power to give us permanent joy when they don't. Nothing has the power to give you permanent joy except your state of mind and attitude. So this raga creates what? Which we discussed last time. Always the law of polarity. It comes in pairs. It creates dvesha, aversion. When we don't get what we want, what happens? Anger, irritation, resentment. So we're caught between this raga and dvesha, craving, aversion. And what is the problem with that? We are unable to apply our mind to the present moment. We're not able to bring it. We are always angry about the past or hopeful about the future, craving for the future. So never in the present moment. And the only moment you have to do anything is the present moment. Your mind is everywhere except where it needs to be, which is the present moment, because you're caught between the past and the future. So thus, whenever you perform actions in order to fulfill your desires, it leads to bondage. Now, another thing that I want you to understand is karma is limited. Every action is limited, and therefore the results will be limited. But core desire is unlimited happiness, unlimited. We cannot be happy with anything. You look at the records of all these athletes. Once they break a record, they still want to break that record. They'll never be happy. Same with celebrities. Great success, great award, but more awards. Same with wealth creators. $1 million, $10 million, $1 billion. It's never enough, never. So we are using limited effort, action to achieve unlimited happiness. So this creates a catch-22 situation, which is using limited action to get unlimited karma phala, which is results of your action. And then what happens to this? You're caught in the bondage of repeated birth and death, repeated birth and death, repeated birth and cycles of lifetimes and lifetimes and lifetimes playing catch up. And a lot of people, when we introduce this idea, say, what's wrong? Many lifetimes we will take. So what? We will enjoy every lifetime. But are you really enjoying? Again, that you caught birth is not an easy phenomenon. Going through that human womb, you have no control where you will be born. You have no control what abilities you'll be born with. Once you're born, the birth itself is a painful process. 9 months in the womb, any number of things can happen. Then on top of that, where you're born, with what abilities, with what resources, you have no control. Then you are besetted with illness, disease, old age, and even the process of dying. It's not even at your will. Some people drag for decades, suffering, cannot die. So this is not really a process of birth and death is not an easy cycle. And we established that in the beginning. Roller coaster is fun as long as you know you can step out anytime you want. But if you don't have the ability to step out of it, it becomes painful. You're throwing up, you have a headache, but you can't get out of that ups and downs of life. So then in Bhaja Govindam, you remember we talked about this verse, Punarabi Jananam, Punarabi Maranam, Punarabi Janani Jatare Sayanam. You are helplessly going through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, bound to dwandas, the opposites, pairs of opposites, which creates the pains of physical birth. Once you're physically born, this body and mind are limited. And not only that, every time you intensify, I like this and I don't like this, you're creating a groove, a coding, and you think you have free will, but you have no free will. Okay, now, so the next thing is, we know that the world is uncertain. There is no guarantee that when you do something, an action, you will get the results you expect. So what happens when you do something? You can get 100% result back. You may even get 200% results back. You can get 50%, zero, or even negative. We have no control over that. But we constantly strive for the results we want, and in the process we are bonded to or bound by this resentment, fear, depression, anger, anxiety. Always mind is in the past or in the future. Will I get it? Will I get it? Will I get it? And even when you get it, it is temporary. You want to hold on to it. That concept of yoga kshema. Yoga is want, I want. Shema is once I got it, I don't want to lose it. But it is not in your control. Neither your body, nor your mind, nor your people, nor your resource, nothing is in your control. So then same cycle, karma leads to action, leads to karma phala, results, which leads to sukha and dukha, which leads to raga for sukha, meaning attachment to that desire, and on, the wheels of the bus go on and on. So we have to understand why many people don't understand. I'm at a vantage point, meaning people like me who are either therapists or coach, because the world looks at the beautiful, the rich, the successful, the famous people and say, what possible problems could they have? But only a coach or a therapist knows they have as much, if not more problems. They cannot eat. There are diseases of the rich that poor people don't have. There are people cannot sleep. Very few rich people can just hit the bed and sleep. And it creates a host of diseases. So always something is missing. No matter what you have, sooner or later, either what you have will be taken away, or you don't have enough, or you are happy until your neighbor gets something more, or your family or friend gets something more, and you want that. And this is what causes this. Irrespective of what you have, there is always something missing and always a craving. And why does this happen? Because we have forgotten God. Now, God is not what is popularly understood as a person out there as a religion. God, as we have established, is that inner bliss. In this course, we are calling it Rama. In other religions, other times, other ages, it can be called by different name. But that inner control, that my attitude will determine how I'm going to enjoy. Sukham. Sukham does not equal happiness. Kham. Su is auspicious, kham is all encompassing. Just like we can equally enjoy a very scary jump from the mountains or a horror movie, we should have the ability to enjoy the ups and downs of life. And we have forgotten God, and we are ungrateful to that principle that is running the show, and we are delusional. We actually think we have some control over our life and these illusory objects of the world. This is the core of the problem. And what name we give it? Ego. Hanuman. We're talking about Hanu is Han, destroy, dissolve. Man is ego. What is ego? Edged God out. God being that unity principle, that one consciousness is expressing itself through all the people, all the objects, everything in the world. And it's when that small expressions try to establish themselves. For example, a wave trying to establish I'm different from the ocean, I have a separate identity, and I have my power over my destiny. Can you imagine how ridiculous it sounds when we give this example? A wave tries to exist without the ocean or the water. That's exactly what we try to do when we think that, oh, we are controlling our destiny, instead of thinking there is a bigger power that is expressing itself through us. So ego manifests itself in two ways: kartrutva, bhoktrutva. Kartrutva is the easier one is the entitlement. The Kartrutva is that I am the doer. I am doing these things. Therefore, Bhaktrutva. I am entitled to this. Good or bad, we will get it. Sometimes we say punya and papa, whether it is like sin and blessings. So it is easier to give up bhoktrutva. Many of us know that. We can selflessly, we say, do for our family, do for our friend, do. We can give up the result. It's a little bit easier. Not everybody can give up, but if you're on the spiritual path, it's easier to give up the result. Very difficult to give up the doership, the credit. At least they should have said thank you. That I need to be acknowledged, recognized, and praised if possible. If not praised, but at least recognize I did it, my idea, I was the initiator, I told you this. That is the ego, that I am different from the power that is expressing itself through us. So the doer and the entitlement, it's little easier to give up the results, much more difficult to give up that identity, the possessiveness. In one of the sessions we talked about manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. Ahankara is that I, my thoughts, my family, my whatever. And this ego, this I, is not a real entity. It's not existential. Our thoughts create it. And it is a very difficult concept, so I will not go deep into it. I will just introduce the idea, and in some other session or some other workshop, we will delve deeper into it, because it's not an easy concept to understand. And the example I'll give you here is, suppose you take a light, a flashlight or something, and you see the light and you keep rotating it fast. What will you see? A circle of, like a ball of fire. But it's not that. This is an disillusionment, a mirage that you're seeing, not mirage, but a wrong understanding. So you may see that I am doing it. It's the same thing. There is a power behind us, but we are seeing something else. For another example you will give is a blue sky. If you continuously think the sky is blue, sky is blue, sky is blue, at some point, the children who don't understand, who are not go to school, they think, yeah, sky is blue. We know very well sky is not blue. But we perceive it as such. It doesn't have an existence. The blueness of the sky doesn't have an existence. Similarly, the ego doesn't have an existence. But that is just an idea I wanted you to reflect on later. So even though we have no control over the three things, this ego thinks it is in control. What are the three things? You are alive because of that God principle. Please remove a physical personality when we are talking about God. It is that consciousness that is running the whole show, pervading everything and orchestrating everything. That determines whether we are alive or not, but we forget that. We forget that our talents and abilities are given to us. We have no control. We are born with something. We have no control over it. Next life, can you ensure that you will have those talents and those abilities? No. Something gives us, some power gives us those talents and abilities. And third is the resources. Which family you're born to, which country you're born to, how much access to wealth you have. All of that is not in your control. You're alive, not in your control. Can you guarantee tomorrow you'll be alive? Your talents and gifts not under your control. Your resources not under your control. And yet we have the delusion that we are separate and we can choose and we can actually run our life according to our plan. Herein comes the concept of the karma yogi, which Hanuman ji embodies. There's a difference between karmi and karma yogi. Karmi is somebody who's unintelligently doing actions, because if you're born, you have to do actions. There is no respite from actions. From the day you're, even a breathing in and out is action. Thinking is action. So the difference between karma yogi and karmi. It is karma yogi is not just action, but divine action, this Ramaduta concept. When we surrender every action, every thought, every feeling, every action to that higher principle, inside us is born a power that gives us immense strength, immense knowledge, immense wisdom, which is called the Hanuman archetype. And he gets that power. Until Hanumanji met Lord Ram, he had power, but it was a nuisance. He would swallow the sun, and he didn't do anything worthy. Before he met Hanumanji, Lord Ram, what did Hanumanji achieve that was worthy of mention? So entire Sundarakand comes after that. Once he found Lord Ram and surrendered, then see his activities. He was doing actions, powerful actions, but divine action started after meeting Lord Ram. So not just action karma, but karma yoga, which third chapter of Bhagavad Gita talks about. So here we will remind ourselves that actions or karma is a double-edged sword, surashya dhara. Unintelligently done, it will keep you in that cycle and you will be bound. But intelligently when you do it, it is a cause or an instrument for liberation. Liberation from what? From being a slave to your mind. And being able to step up and say, I can do this because I want to do it, not because I'm pulled to do this or forced to do this or, that thing. And in Bhaja Govindam, unless we do that, what was that verse? Let me remind you. Angam galitam palitam mundam dasana vihinam jata tundam vriddho yati gruhitva dandam tadapina munchati asha pindam. If you don't do divine action, intelligent actions, at the end of your life, the limbs are weakened, head turns gray, the hair turns gray, mouth becomes toothless, and the old man walks holding a stick, cannot even carry your own weight. Even then, he does not give up the bundle of hopes and desires. You're caught in this, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I don't. All the lifetime of indulgence doesn't give you happiness. You can't, there is no end to it. Insatiable desires. So, now, understanding the difference between being a karmi, unintelligent action, and karma yoga, divinizing your action, divine action. So, in short, what is that karma yoga that Bhagavad Gita talks about? Three things. Ishvara arpitam nechaya kritam chitta shodhakam mukti sadhakam. So it says action which is done without desire for oneself. Nature, na ichchaya, not because I want or desire. Nechaya kritam. So doing actions not because you desire it, but because you should do it. Your dharma dictates you do that. Purifies the mind. Chitta shodhakam. Chitta is that reservoir of memories we talked about. Manas, buddhi, chitta, ahankara. Because unless that reservoir is cleaned, that is the coding. You don't have complete free will. Chitta shodhakam. So karma yoga allows you to purify that reservoir of memories, the coding. And this karma becomes an instrument for liberation. This is called mukti sadhaka. Mukti is liberation. Sadhaka is a seeker. You're continuously doing it. So karma yoga says that perform actions as worship to the Lord, to that consciousness that is pervading everything and orchestrating everything, knowing fully well that the ability to be even inspired or even do any actions or operations or thought, you cannot do it without its blessings and permission. So that is how you offer and surrender everything, your thoughts, your feelings, your action to that power. The best analogy I can bring to you right now is when we do a job for a company or a job for the country. We are not, when you go to work, you're not doing it because you want to do it. You are given a job, you're given the title or the position, you're given the resources, you're given the powers, and hence you're able to do it. And you can do it to the best of your ability, but you know that this will not last forever. Neither that job would last in the company nor in the country, but you are dedicating everything you have. Your work is dedicated to an entity which is bigger than yourself. So keep that analogy in mind. When you're working for a company or working for the country, the defense forces, what they're doing, they're not fighting for their own sake. They are fighting for the country. So similarly, keep that analogy always in mind. You can enthusiastically do everything without being attached and thinking this is mine or this will live forever. This job will live forever or this operation will be there forever. A soldier or a general can prepare for a big war, but if the command comes that you cannot do the war, you must be able to stop without getting all upset. Oh, I had planned for this, I had done for this, this is my moment under the sun. No. But when you do with full enthusiasm. So perform actions as worship to the Lord, that higher principle. Here we are calling it Ram, Ramaduta, Ramaduta Atulita Baladhama. When you surrender to that principle, you have access to invincible and unimaginable power. No, and how do you surrender it? Knowing that you have no right over it, you have no power over it, you cannot control it. So that's how you surrender. And with what is that thought process you have to cultivate? May my actions, my responsibilities, my enjoyments be a worship of that power. I am worshipping that company or that country or that supreme power with these actions. This is my offering to that higher entity. So then the mind becomes pure and prepared to receive the knowledge. Because first is you cannot receive higher knowledge with an impure mind. That is, what is an impure mind? Likes and dislikes, craving, aversion. Once you control that, then you have access to, you clean your mind to receive that knowledge that will liberate you from this dvandas, ping pong between likes and dislikes. So mind becomes purified and prepared to receive self-knowledge. Now, let's discuss a little bit about what is this karma yoga, this Ramaduta. I'm doing everything for that, divinizing my action. In short, the whole chapter 3 is a big exposition of karma yoga in Bhagavad Gita, but basically it boils down to 4 things. First is perform your duties. You don't do something because you like it. You do it because it is your dharma. It is your duty to do it. And you don't have to carry the burden of the world. You don't have to worry about where is war and famine and poverty and what is it called, injustice. That's not your concern. You just perform your duties. When everybody performs that duty, there will be no problem. The problem is we don't perform our duties, but we want to interfere and tell others how they should do their duties. So performing your duties, and when you understand that, the Stephen Covey has talked about it, three circles he talks about. Circle of concern. Yeah, you know, there is war in Ukraine, there is war in Israel. Yes, we are concerned about it. Then comes circle of influence. Do you have any influence in that matter? You can write about it, you can demonstrate, but other than that, that is your influence. You can, and then finally, circle of control, the actual generals, the actual political leaders. So understanding which circle you are at, and in some aspects of your life, you like your own life, your family, your job, you are circle of control. So understanding that perform your duty means which of these circles you find yourself in: circle of influence, circle of concern, or circle of care. Then do it as best as you can. You don't have to be number one. The problem is when we want to be number one, that is the ego saying, I am better than somebody else. You do it to the best of your ability. Whatever ability you've been given, whatever resources you've been given, whatever country, parentage, platform you've been given, do it to the best. This is called swadharma. Paradharma is I want to be like that person. I want that recognition. I want that power. I want that job. I don't like this job. I don't like this family. I don't like this country. I don't like this religion. That is the problem. Do it to the wherever you find yourself, do it to the best of your ability. Don't have to try to be number one. Third is this Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, which the mantra I said, that offer all actions to God, knowing fully well that without that power's permission, you will not be able to do anything, not even breathe. Next moment's breath is not guaranteed. You have no power over it. So knowing that Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, that feeling is everything I do. Breath is, give it to the God. Eating, give it to the God. Producing, procreating, give it to the God. Creating a piece of art, give it to the God. Going to war, give it to the God. Everything is because I have been given this job. I have been placed in this position to do this job. Then comes the next one, which is Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. After doing everything you can to the best of your ability with enthusiasm, you must receive the results, good, bad, ugly, without complaint. Cheerfully accept. This is the sadhana. This is the austerity. This is the effort to divinize the mind. And divinize the mind means master the mind. So understanding that this power in its infinite wisdom, because I have narrow tunnel vision. I don't have 360-degree vision of the last 1,000 births and the next 20,000 births. So this power in its infinite wisdom has given me this job, this talent, these resources. So let me do this to the best of my ability. I do not know. Just like a child doesn't know when the parent says, just do this. Child, I'm talking about very young child. Or a soldier doesn't know the orders of the general. Likewise, you can take it to any level. So this power in its infinite wisdom has given me this result. You accept it cheerfully without complaining and without grumbling. and understanding that you are not anything you do. Today's very popular phrase is life purpose, life purpose. You are not fulfilling any purpose. You are just the divine purpose and will is chosen this mind and body to express itself. And the minute you get out of your way, everything will be smooth. Understanding that I have no life purpose, understanding this will, because ego is attached to will, and will exists at 3 levels. At the very low level, Muladhara Chakra, it is like I have no control. My parents, my society, my community, my religion controls my will. What I can do or can't do is determined by these people. That's a low level of will. Then you come to the Manipura. Manipura is I have freedom. My parents cannot tell me what to do. My spouse cannot tell me what to do. My country cannot tell me what to do. My religion cannot tell me what to do. I have the will. Then you go to the Agya Chakra and ultimately Sahasrara, where you say the divine, it's called the divine irony. You never had any will. This, you are puppets. And you are being, you as in all of us are actually as a divine will expressing itself through us. But you cannot go from I have no will to I am Aham Brahmasmi, I am God. You have to go through this gradual progression of your, this is the journey of the Kundalini Yoga. From chakra after chakra after chakra after chakra, you go understanding from no power, I have all the power, and then again understanding I have no power. But that is very different from, like I talk about rituals. When you do rituals without understanding, it's binding. You will do the same rituals with the understanding what you're doing. To the outside world, it will look like, what knowledge do you have? You're still doing the same rituals, but you know what you're doing. So that is that progression of the will, from no will to I have all the will to divine will. Next is the benefits of being a karma yogi, divinizing your action versus a karmi, unintelligent action. So a karma yogi does actions based on dharma, my not rights and worries. This is my dharma. Doesn't matter whether I like it or don't like it, whether I'm a mother, whether I'm a CEO, whether I'm a soldier. It is my dharma to do this. What Arjuna was supposed to do. You can't dare look at your lower role. What is my duty? Whether I like it or not, I have to fight here because that is my dharma. So, and doing actions based on dharma, not rights and worries. Therefore, what happens when you do that? No, you're not intensifying the raga, that coding, that I like this and I don't like this. And you're doing it not because you like or dislike, you're doing it because you're supposed to do it. That is your swadharma. And it's not an easy concept we have established. But unless you even want to understand, you will never understand. Then a karma yogi is not troubled by worries and anxieties. When you do something, you're not troubled by worries and anxieties because you're not doing it for the results. You are surrendering the results to that higher power. Whatever comes, you will accept. It is a practice. It's very difficult in the beginning. But as you do, you will slowly, but very quickly, not very quickly, but very effectively understand that things are getting done. So don't, and you will get the results that you need, not what you want, because what you want may not be in your highest interest in the long run. So knowing that I am not doing for the results, I'm doing it to please that power that we are calling Lord Ram, or you can give it any name. So whatever I deserve will come, whatever I need will come, not what I want. Then no doership. I am an instrument. It's not me. It is not for me to decide. I'm just a mere instrument. Every day, if you remind yourself, please, Lord, use this body and mind to get done whatever you want to get done. I'm at reporting for divine duty. That is what Hanumanji did. No matter how difficult, he never knew what the results was. He didn't know whether he'll be able to cross the ocean to go to Lanka. He didn't know if he'll find Sita there. He didn't know what to do, but he said, you're reporting for duty. That's all. Then free from the cycle of birth and death, because we have multiple rebirths to fulfill insatiable desires. It's a loop. It's a complete loop. When you're doing it for expected results, you can never come out of it, no matter what. So when you do karma yoga, which is divinize your action, which is what is the divinizing action? Surrendering every thought, feeling, actions to that higher power, whatever name you give it. Then you will not be born again. And this freaks out people because they think, oh, so I'm finished. It's the ego saying, I am finished. Remember, in one of the sessions we discussed about we are born because we have no control, but we can choose to be born. That is what the avatars are. all the incarnations, the Lord can birth itself into any moment, any time, because it doesn't be, not because it wants to, because it intends to. So this, once the ego falls away, we are not finished. We become part of that big power. Like a river, there's a beautiful poem going around in the WhatsApp, shivering before entering the ocean. Oh my God, I will be no entity, such a big river, Ganga, Jamuna, whatever it is, Nile, Thames, whatever it is, I will have no identity. But you may stop your identity as a small river or a big river, but you'll gain the identity of the ocean, which is much bigger. You think the ocean has no power? Only the river has the power? That thought you have to understand, and to remind yourself that when we say that you will not be reborn, it is not compulsively. You can take birth as an avatar anytime. Once you become one with that avatar, one with that power. So free from the cycle of birth and death to fulfill insatiable desires. If you work for desires, there is no end to it. No end to it. And if there is no desires, no rebirth is required. Rebirth is a prison. You are in the prison, you cannot come in and go out at will. Avatara is like the warden of the prison, goes in and comes out anytime it wants. So free from attachment to karma and karma phala. You are not doing action because I am the doer and I deserve this action. Kartrutva, bhoktrutva. You're doing it because you're an instrument of that power. It is expressing, that supreme power or consciousness is expressing itself through you. So then what happens? You are free from vasanas. Vasanas is the coding, the conditioning, like a groove in the mind, in the record. There's this chitta, has your memories. Every birth you take, you have a baggage of memories, and you are bound by those memories of likes and dislikes. But once you give up the likes and dislikes, that gets eliminated. So karma, what is the benefit of being a karma yogi versus being a karmi? A karmi does things based on results. When you do your action based on results, anxiety is there. Will I get it? Will I not? What will happen if I don't get it? So it's a disturbed mind. You're doing everything and living every day with a disturbed mind. But if you don't get the results you want, if you get it, you're elated. If you don't get it, you're depressed, you're resentful, you're angry, you're fearful. But a karma yogi is performing the duty with peace, because it has nothing to take and nothing to leave. It's not based on likes and dislikes. So what will happen? It has surrendered the results to that ultimate power. Just like a company, you do your work and you surrender it to the company. Let the company decide which direction it will go, how it will grow. Let the people in power decide that. Similarly with the country. So here we are doing it, we get more peace. A karma yogi does actions with more peace, whereas a karmi is induced by anxiety, fear of the results. Will I get it or not get it? So what happens when you do it with a disturbed mind? Your entire capacity is not available to your work, to your effort. So you will have less material gain, less success in the material world. But when you do it with a peace of mind, your mind is not pulled into the past of resentment and fear, or pulled into the future with anxiety and hope. Then you have 100%. This is the Arjuna principle. Me, the ball and the goal. You are not thinking about the past and future. You are in the present moment. So what happens? Your action is a superior quality. Karmi's action is inferior. So the results naturally will be superior. Third is the resources and support you have actions to. If you're a karmi, unintelligent action, you are limited because you are just relying on yourself. You're not tapping into that big power. Whereas a karma yogi has unlimited potential and possibilities and resources. And let me give you an example. For example, a traffic police. When you're trying to control the traffic on the road, this may not be a very common example to modern people because we don't have that, but people who grew up in India long ago will understand this thing. A time may come when the crowd becomes uncontrollable. So then what happens? You then call in support from the state police. The state police will come in. If the state police, there's a riot condition, calls in the army, then the army comes in. So you are not the one that has the responsibility of controlling an unruly riotous crowd. So the country will make sure that you have the power to control the riot or the people. Similarly, when we are doing something for the supreme power, we don't have to rely on our limited mind, limited family, limited money, limited ideas, limited this. We just say, Lord, you have given me this job. You will also give me the ability to complete this job. It's not my responsibility. I am reporting for duty. Now you give me whatever you need. You have put me on this job. So no worry, am I good enough for this? If I was not, why would you have hired me for this job? So understanding that the resources are not my problem, it will come. And this is the Ramaduta. When Lord Hanuman surrendered to Lord Ram, this Ramaduta Atulita Baladhama, Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama. Before that, he was known as Anjani Putra and Pavani Sutta. The powers of the body and the powers of the mind. But once he becomes Ramaduta, it became power of the infinite consciousness. So then all the knowledge, all the wisdom, all the strength, all the resources, everything will be provided by that power, because you are working for that power. You're not working for yourself. So the last topic for today's point I want to talk is, before enlightenment, chop wood, fetch water. After enlightenment, the same. Once a Zen master was asked, what were you doing before you were enlightened? He said, I was chopping wood and fetching water. And that interviewer asked, and after you become enlightened, what did you do? He says, chopping wood and fetching water. So the interviewer asked him, so what's the difference? The difference is your attitude. The world will remain the same. You will do whatever you need to do, but the attitude will be different. So you don't have to escape the world. You don't have to escape from the world. You will perform your duties, face your challenges, enjoy life, but with a different attitude. Two, and this thing is, understand that how the Bhagavad Gita was given, where it was given, by whom it was given. It was given in the middle of the battlefield. It is never in the peace when everything is fine and wonderful. I'll escape the world. I will live the world. I'll escape the world. Then I will get spiritual instructions and information. No, right in the middle of life, right in the middle of all your worst difficulties and challenges and hurdles, you will get this information. And it was given by one Grihastha, Krishna, to another Grihastha, Arjuna. It was not given by a sannyasi to another sannyasi, not by a priest or a monk to another priest or a monk. Right in the middle of life, so you have to, there is no escaping this world. You will live in this world, but you will not be attached to this world. So then you will fulfill family and personal and professional responsibilities, enjoy life, but not be attached to it. And like I said earlier, think of it, if you're traveling on assignment of your work, the hotels you live in, the airlines you travel in, the fancy restaurants you eat, the fancy places you see, you can enjoy all of that, knowing very well that this is not mine. This will not last forever. It is a part of this position. Similarly, if you're working on behalf of the government, whether it is a war, whether it is construction of infrastructure, whether it is expanding your country's territory, it is not for you. But you can enjoy all of it. So that analogy, keep in mind, how we are already doing it at a smaller level. When we travel for the company, when we do work for the company or for the country, we do everything, but knowing very well this is not ours. This position will not last. These facilities will not last. But when we are there, we are enjoying it. So understanding that this thought, I will leave you with this thought. Every morning, if you can remind yourself of this, that I am a nobody, I have nothing, I know nothing, and I can do nothing without the Lord. But the caveat is, Hanumanji, this archetype, but by the grace of the Lord, I can do anything, anything. And understanding that anything is possible. No, you will never doubt yourself. Whenever Hanumanji was in that whole group of people, when they reached the end of India's territorial limit and somebody told them that Sita is in Sri Lanka or Ceylon, everybody was asked, everybody said, no, we don't have that power. Hanumanji never. He did not say, I have the power. He did not say, I don't have it. He had forgotten. We ourselves have forgotten our power. And this is the, if you've read in one of the modules, that first of the Hanuman Ashtakam, that avidya, we don't know what our power is. But when somebody reminds you, like Jambavan reminded Hanuman, your family, your coach, your guru, your friends will remind you, you're capable, you got this, but we still don't believe. That is a problem. Thinking that we have all the power or think we have no power. Once you just do it for that principle, you actually, the ego has no power, but when you are part of that principle, when you're working for that higher principle, you have all the power. I can do anything by the grace of that power. So this is the ego, the Hanuman, dissolving the ego, that I am so powerful or I have no power. You are neutral. You are just an instrument to do the bidding of that power. Because the greater the ego, the greater the war, whether it is personal war, community war, or global war. So the whole idea is to efface the ego. But not, that doesn't mean we don't act. That doesn't mean there's no enthusiasm in our action. So to the extent we can efface ego, which is Hanuman, you can master your mind and lead a peaceful life by being in harmony with nature, with everything else. And today's mantra, today, after the question answer, we will finish with, we will read Hanuman Chalisa once, because today is Hanuman Jayanti. But today's mantra I want to introduce, and Ragini will make sure it goes into the modules. I will first sing it and then I will explain. Shri Moola Rama Vijayate Digvijaya Rama Vijayate Shri Jaya Rama Vijayate Shiva Rama Shiva Rama Shiva Rama Vijayate. So the meaning of this mantra is Shri is the principle or the vibration of abundance. Moola, primordial. Shri Moola. Rama is this bliss principle, the power principle, the inner power, inner bliss. Vijayate, that is the only thing that is victorious and will make everything victorious. Then Digvijaya. Digvijaya is that control over everything, internal control and external control. This Jaya and Vijaya, I say Jaya is internal control over our processes, our thoughts, and Digvijaya is external control. Shiva is that auspiciousness, all-encompassing. The Sukham will we call about. So once you connect with this primordial principle of inner bliss, the bliss is here, the power is here. This decides how I enjoy that, the outside world. Aham and Idam. Aham is, this principle will determine Idam, the world of objects, how we relate to it, and we decide, that power decides how to enjoy it. That outside world cannot tell you how you will, whether you'll be happy or unhappy. And Shiva principle is that, and that is why Hanumanji is an avatara or a son, however you want to call it, of Shiva. This auspiciousness and inner bliss is entwined together. And once you connect with that, Shri is at your disposal, abundant life. So every time you feel defeated, every time you feel that challenges or the circumstances are too big for you, sit down and cultivate this feeling that I am invoking, welcoming, and accepting this inner power. So I'll give it to Ragini, she'll upload it. That is the end of today's session, which is about going from doing actions, being a karmi, to divinizing your actions, becoming a Rama Duta, divinizing. So everything, you will enjoy everything. There is no running away from it, but you are doing it in a state of surrender without being attached to it. You're doing it because it is your duty, not because you like or dislike it. This Bhava Sagara, that is the goal of being of being born in this earth, is to cross the Bhava Sagara. Bhava is feeling, Sagara is ocean of feelings. Don't get caught up in that Bhava Sagara, because Vishnu is the one who's running the Bhava Sagara. That's why his image is, he's lying in that Shira Sagara, Milky Ocean. He's in the middle of it. He can run it. That inner power can be in the ocean and handle the ocean. But we are not there yet. So what happens when the Sagara Manthanam starts churning and all the Vishayas, the poison comes out, who should be called in? Shiva. That is the Hanuman principle. Intellect, complete control over, not like and dislike, this needs to be done. Even when you do things like that, the poison cannot affect you. So this is the Shiva Rama principle. And one principle can't do it. And we talked about it, number 9. You can be, Vishnu has created this world, and Shiva can remove these problems of this world. So can Vishnu. Please don't get confused with that. That's the one principle, in one power. In one form it is this, in another form it is that. So this principle always comes as a pair. Whether it is Hanuman and Ram, whether it is Krishna and Balaram, any which way you look at it, they will come together because you need both the powers.